So, my husband is accusing me of infidelity. So what do? I decide to expose him for his second family. That's right, his hidden family that he's been keeping away from me for this entire time. Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws about my husband's secret family after he accused me of cheating on him? For a bit of context, I'm female 41. I've been with my husband Ron for 19 years. We have a daughter, Ella. I was always a pretty independent woman. I love challenges. Ron and I met in college, and our love's grown against all odds. Me being from a rich family with old money, and him being middle class back then, we were each other's support system, always encouraging one another to chase our dreams. You see, I had a successful career as a marketing executive, and Ron established his own infrastructure company, pouring his heart and soul into building something from scratch. I loved his dedication and drive. It was parallel to mine, and that's what really made us compatible. We always made sure to celebrate each other's victories, both big and small. We were a team, taking on the world together, and after we got married, my parents cut me off completely, because they, did not approve of me and Ron. Honestly, I was meaning to go no contact anyways. They were abusive and toxic. I did not want my child to have to deal with that, you know. Our daughter Ella completed our little world. She brought some of our groundbreaking balance that did not let us fly too far. She was the embodiment of our love, a bright little kid who brought fun to our lives. She also got along with the dog, or else we'd have to throw her away. Ron and I were very involved in her upbringing, balancing work and family responsibilities, and cherishing every milestone and triumph she experienced. We'd document everything with photos, so we'd have those memories with us. Well, thank God I had a camera, or I would not have been able to tell you this story. See, we would go on adventures as a family. Elaine, my papoose, and the dog leash in his grip. We'd go exploring new places, absolutely vibing. Ella taught myself that word. Don't know if I'm using it right. Vibing? Well, we were vibing with nature, creating memories. Our home was full of laughter and love. Our environment had a sense of security, just our little angel. Ron and I were joined by the hips, and intimacy was a natural extension of our deep connection. We went at it like bunnies. I cherish the moments we shared and don't regret marrying him, even though it all went wrong. There was an unspoken understanding between us, a bond that was beyond words and filled our loves with affection. That's before it all changed for the worse. 10 years ago, when Ella was 5, I met with a major car accident. I skid down a wet road and crashed into a tree, and the car door had flung open, throwing me halfway out, but my leg got trapped in something that left me debilitated for the rest of my life. I don't know. I was too out of it to recall what exactly happened. The car accident left me disabled, claiming my leg from the knee down. I had to amputate it. We could not afford a prosthetic either. My days as an active woman came to an abrupt end, and suddenly I found myself confined to the role of a housewife, managing the household and finances and ensuring Ella's well-being. It was a difficult duty I embraced with all my heart because, call me Dom Toretto, my family meant everything to me. Tragedy struck and my life took an unexpected detour, just like my car did. The accident not only took away my physical abilities, but also changed the dynamics of our relationship. I had to adapt to a new reality, one that required me to rely on others for assistance and support. Ron's reaction to my condition began to unravel the cracks in our once solid foundation. He would not touch me anymore, and he'd go straight to sleep at night, and he stopped saying I love you. Maybe he blamed himself. Maybe he thought I was damaged or broken. I still don't know what I went wrong. Even the dog stopped going near him because of the weird energy that was drifting from him. As months went by, I noticed the distance between Ron and me. The intimacy that once flourished seemed to have, faded away. leaving me a void in my heart. He'd refuse to meet my eyes and be cold all the time, and I just mustered the courage to talk to him about it, expressing my concerns and fears. Ron simply shrugged it off, blaming work pressure for his lack of sex drive. I just wanted to believe him, desperately clinging to the hope that our love was still somewhere down there. Somewhere. But then, Ron's business trips started becoming more frequent and longer in duration. He starts to vanish for an entire week, every month leaving me alone to care for Ella and manage the house. He would shout at me when I asked for any details of the trip and say that I should just leave if I didn't trust him enough, knowing I was too vulnerable to walk away. His absence gnawed at me, doubts growing stronger with every day. He would act recklessly, come home drunk and shouting at, Ella very harshly. He'd brush off the dog when he came up to him for pets and sometimes raise his hands on him. He also became careless. He underestimated my capabilities and assumed I could not do anything about the situation. One day, fate intervened in the form of a laptop. Ron left it behind unbeknownst this small act of carelessness would reveal the truth. Curiosity got the better of me and I found that laptop. And guess what? It doesn't have a password. Anyways, I accessed his location history on Google Maps timeline and my heart was pounding louder than the FBI at a terrorist door as I discovered the truth that I suspected all along. Ron had been cheating on me. The accident had taken so much from me, but it was the slow erosion of trust that hurt the most. I was a woman who had lost her leg and discovered a betrayal that shattered her heart. Tears welled up in my eyes as I read through his social media chats, witnessing the depth of the betrayal. I never said anything as I would not be able to support Ella financially on my own. I logged onto his social media account in my own laptop and kept an extensive record of all his chit-chats. I noted all the lies he would tell me and jot them in my notebook. I even followed him on some occasions, like her birthday, taking pictures of them together and recording videos. Meanwhile, I became the ideal wife, taking care of everything, but he still would not be intimate with me or talk to me properly. I found out all about the women and that she gave birth to their son, who's now 8. I continued keeping tabs and getting updates over the years and was just planning to leave him the next year. After Ella turned 16, the pain was unbearable, but at the moment a steely resolve formed within me. I knew I had to stay strong, not just for myself but for Ella and the dog. I knew that I needed to find a way to support myself and Ella financially. Despite my physical limitations, I was determined to ensure a stable future for my daughter when we left. I turned to the internet as a way to generate income and get the bag. I began exploring remote work opportunities that aligned with my skill and interest. With my background in marketing and my passion for writing, I decided to venture into freelance, copywriting, and content creation. You see, from the confines of my home, I focused on my work. Armed with a laptop and determination that would make a robot shy, I sought our clients in projects that suited my expertise. I crafted persuasive copy for businesses, developed engaging blog posts, and even took on social media management tasks. It was not an easy journey. It took me almost a year to develop such a client base. I continuously honed my skills, attended online courses, and expanded my professional network. Gradually, my client base grew, and I started to establish a reputation as a reliable and talented freelancer. I never even had to mention my disability, because they never saw me from the portion down. Because, while the world is changing, in my initial days of job hunting, when I admitted I was an amputee, they rejected me several times for several reasons, and some would even make ableist comments. Yes, in this day and age. A few weeks ago, I left the house while Ella was at school and Ron was away for his second family. I confided in my lawyer friend, Kane, a compassionate soul who listened patiently to my heart-wrenching story. With evidence in hand, I sought his advice, hoping to determine if it was enough to build a solid divorce case. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out my phone and began showing him the evidence. I meticulously collected. Chat transcripts, location history, and incriminating photos were all laid before him. I played the long game for almost 10 years, and I was just going to make sure I got everything. I needed just to leave this excuse of a man. I showed him all the evidence I gathered, and he was both astounded and stunned. The pain resurfaced as I shared the truth that had been eating away at my heart. My eyes welled up with tears as the weight of my emotions threatened to overwhelm me. Kane reached across the table, offering a comforting hand on mine, and we discussed this for a while, and he reassured me and gave me words of comfort and support. His words resonated deeply within me, empowering me to take the necessary steps to reclaim my life. I knew the road ahead would not be easy, but with Kane by my side, I felt a newfound sense of hope. As we finished our conversation, Kane assured me that he would stand by me throughout the legal process. He reminded me to focus on building a support system and taking care of myself as I embarked on a path towards healing and rediscovering my worth. Kane promised me that I had a strong position, and we made plans for the new year and when Ella would turn 16. Leaving the cafe, a mix of emotions surged within me. Fear and uncertainty mingled with a newfound sense of strength and determination. I knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but with the truth finally laid bare, I could no longer deny the painful reality I've been living in. I had no space to hide this time because I told somebody else. The next year held the promise of change, and I was ready to face it head on. Armed with evidence, resilience, and the love I had for my daughter Ella, as I walked back through the door, Ron stood there, a mixture of anger and accusations upon his face. The world seemed to come crashing down around me. Ron questioned me, asking if I've been cheating on him. His voice trembled with fury and his eyes fixed upon me, but I denied his accusation, assuring him that I knew about his infidelity instead. Well, I told him everything I knew, and his eyes widened in shock upon hearing my response and momentarily betraying a flicker of guilt before anger consumed him once more. He accused me of spying on him and expressed his disbelief of my actions. I tried to explain myself, stating that I never desired for it to come to this point. I'd felt the need to protect myself and our daughter, Ella. I explained that, I'd gathered evidence in case a divorce became necessary. Ron's face contorted further and his anger was growing. He approached me, venom lacing his words, criticizing my actions and claiming that I had thought I could get away with my investigations. He grabbed my hair harshly, speaking, "You think you're so clever, don't you? Playing detective behind my back, thinking that you could get away with it?" Well, though tears welled up in my eyes, I fought to remain composed. I reiterated that I never wanted any of this, telling him about my desire for us to work through our problems and rebuild some trust. However, circumstances left me with no other option. His face reddened and his anger was reaching a boiling point. He even accused me of being the one who had destroyed our family and declared that he would not tolerate it. He believed that I was solely responsible for our downfall. Despite the weight of his accusations, I stood my ground, drawing strength from the newfound resilience within me. I responded by stating that it takes two to destroy a marriage, acknowledging our shared faults and emphasizing that this entire family he had could not be ignored. He slapped me then. I was speechless and almost gave up. During this fight, neither of us even noticed that Ella had let herself in and was listening to our argument. Well, she caught our attention by clearing her throat and clarifying that she had something she had to tell us, and oh boy, it was important. As Ella bravely spoke up, she revealed that she had learned about her father's infidelity through a friend who saw Ron with his other wife and son. She discovered that Ron's son went to her school too. It had a primary, middle, and high school in one huge premises. She found the kid Daniel during lunchtime and started hanging out with him. Hearing his side of the story, she found out that her father often told Daniel he was not wanted, and that he led Daniel's mother so often because he could not stand Daniel. Ella was fuming at his treatment of an 8-year-old, and she was going to talk to me about it anyways. But she found out I already knew about his other family when she saw my laptop screen once. Understanding the gravity of the situation, she shared with Ron that I had sought legal counsel. She somehow knew, and expressed her unwavering support for her. Ron burst at her and was about to slap her when I intervened and shoved him. Fallen, and with his palms on the ground, he starts to cry about how I was probably having sex with a lawyer and that I was no better. He questioned my financial dependency, asked me what I would do without him, and referred to me as a cripple. That's when I decided enough was enough. I picked Ron up, led him to the door, and pushed him out, and he informed me that he was going to his girlfriend's house and staying there until I was knocked to my senses. Just wanting to be transparent with my in-laws, reached out to Ron's sister and arranged a meeting at my house. She came the very next day with my mother-in-law and father-in-law with a heart-filled rage and resentment. I disclosed everything I discovered, exposing Ron's betrayal. I even told them about the mental strain he was causing Daniel. His father, shocked and disappointed, made the difficult decision to disown him. Unable to condone such actions, he called Ron right up in front of me and berated him, expressing his rage and disappointment. He told him to be happy with his other family and that he'd lost any family he had here. He called me his daughter proudly and said he'd do anything for me. However, a few days after this, his mother called and started slandering me. She called me an alternative word for, well, a male's bodily function, and told me it was my fault. Ron's mother's words cut through me like a sharp blade, sharpened by a samurai, piercing deep into my already wounded heart. With a mix of anger and disappointment, she expressed her frustration and blamed me for shattering their family's harmony. She accused me of ruining her son's life, and accused me of being the catalyst for the disintegration of their once united household. Her words were filled with bitterness and resentment, as the jerk could not even come to terms with the harsh reality of her son's actions. It was a painful moment facing the wrath of somebody I had once considered family, but hey, I told her to sod right off and that I was not going to tolerate any more oppression. So, the reason I'm here today is to ask you guys, am I the a-hole? So guys, I just want to point out two very interesting perspectives which got a lot of attention in the comment section. The first comment is you are the a-hole, and I'll read it to you now. You are the a-hole. It's understandable that they're upset about your husband's infidelity, but you also went behind his back and spied on him for years without ever even confronting him about it. If you just talked to him about your suspicions instead of collecting evidence for years like a CSI movie, maybe things would have been a bit different, huh? It's a terrible situation all around, but both of you have made mistakes. Guys, that's the #1 comment on the entire posting, so let me know your thoughts about that one. And now I will read opinion #2, which says, everybody sucks here. This is a very complex situation, yes. And while Ron's infidelity is undoubtedly wrong, you too invaded his privacy by accessing his laptop without his consent. Moreover, involving your in-laws and causing them distress in the process might not have been the best decision. No? Well, this whole situation seems to have spiraled out of control due to the lack of communication and trust. It's a difficult situation for everyone involved, and I hope you find peace in the end. So guys, there's two very good perspectives. Let me know your thoughts. Where do you lay with it? Drop your comments down below. If you're new to the channel, what's up? My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories daily. Stop on by tomorrow, see what we're up to, and I'll catch you guys later. I'll see ya!